The arrangement, Olivia Reed wiped flour-covered hands on her apron and surveyed the empty tables of sweet provisions. 3 years of pouring her heart into her bakery, and still the elegant chalkboard menu drew barely enough customers to cover rent. She'd spent the morning arranging delicate pastries in the display case that would likely remain full until closing. The bell above the door jingled, and in walked Natalie, her closest friend since culinary school. "Please tell me you're here for more than moral support," Olivia said, already preparing Natalie's usual vanilla latte. "Actually, I might have something better." Natalie lowered her voice despite the empty cafe. "Remember my job at West Hospitality Group? Sebastian West needs a favor, a big one, and it comes with an equally big paycheck." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "Sebastian West? The hotel heir who's in every society magazine?" "The very same. His grandmother's will stipulates he must be engaged by his 30th birthday to receive his inheritance. That birthday is in 2 weeks. And this involves me how? He needs someone to pose as his fiancée for a week-long family gathering at their estate. His grandmother wants to meet his future bride before she finalizes the new terms of the will." Natalie slid a business card across the counter. "He's willing to pay enough to save this place." Olivia stared at the crisp white card. Her landlord had given her 30 days to pay the back rent or vacate. No bank would extend her another loan. "This is ridiculous. I'm not an actress. You don't need to be. Just be charming and say you're in love. Sebastian's actually a decent guy beneath the tabloid reputation." After Natalie left, Olivia flipped the closed sign early and climbed the stairs to her tiny apartment above the bakery. She researched Sebastian West online. Heir to a luxury hotel empire, philanthropist, notorious for brief relationships with models and actresses. In every photo, his expression remained coolly composed. His dark hair perfectly styled, his tailored suits impeccable. 2 days later, Olivia found herself in the West Hospitality Group headquarters, fidgeting in a reception area that probably cost more than her entire bakery. "Miss Reed." A smooth voice interrupted her thoughts. Sebastian West stood before her, taller than expected. His eyes, a deep blue that reminded her of ocean depths, assessed her with practiced efficiency. "Thank you for coming. Shall we discuss this in my office?" His workspace was minimalist and overlooked the city skyline. "Sebastian didn't waste time on pleasantries. Natalie vouches for your discretion and intelligence. The situation is straightforward. My grandmother's archaic beliefs about family values are tied to my inheritance. I need someone believable for 1 week at our Lake Tahoe estate. And if I agree?" Olivia asked. "You'll receive $50,000. Half now, half after," Olivia nearly choked. "That's necessary," he finished. "This inheritance funds the charitable foundation I've built, along with several development projects employing hundreds of people." She studied him, searching for signs of the privileged playboy from the tabloids. Instead, she saw calculation, determination, and something else, a flicker of strain around his eyes. "We'll need a convincing story," she said finally. Something like relief crossed his face. "We met through your bakery. I was immediately taken with your passion for your craft. We've been dating quietly for 8 months. 8 months and already engaged?" A small smile formed. "When you know, you know." They spent 2 hours crafting their fictional relationship, Sebastian occasionally surprised by Olivia's clever additions. Their engagement had happened during a surprise weekend in Paris. Her ring would be his grandmother's, reset for the modern era. "One condition," Olivia said as they finalized details. "This stays strictly professional. When the weekends, we go our separate ways." Sebastian extended his hand. "Deal." As they shook on it, neither noticed how their hands lingered a moment too long, nor how the afternoon light caught something unplanned in their eyes, the first unscripted moment of many to come. Perfect strangers. The private jet banked smoothly toward the Sierra Nevada mountains, revealing Lake Tahoe's sapphire expanse below. Olivia pressed her forehead against the window, trying to calm her racing heart. "Nervous?" Sebastian asked from across the cabin. He hadn't looked up from his laptop for most of the flight. "Just wondering how I ended up here," Olivia replied, turning from the view. "Yesterday I was kneading dough. Today, I'm pretending to be engaged to a man worth more than the GDP of small countries. Sebastian closed his laptop. In casual clothes, dark jeans, and a navy sweater, he looked less intimidating than in his corporate attire. Almost human. We should review the details again, he suggested, moving to sit beside her. My grandmother, Eleanor West, built the hotel chain with my grandfather. She's traditional but sharp as a tack at 83. She'll spot inconsistencies immediately. What about your parents? A shadow crossed Sebastian's face. My father passed away 5 years ago. My mother lives in Europe with husband number 3. She visits occasionally but isn't involved in the business. And the rest of the family? My uncle Thomas, my father's younger brother, and his wife Camilla will be there with my cousin Philip. Thomas has always felt he should have equal control of the company. If I don't meet grandmother's requirements, control shifts partially to him. Sebastian handed Olivia a velvet box. Inside nestled a stunning emerald-cut diamond, flanked by smaller stones. It was my grandmother's, he explained as Olivia slipped it on. The ring was too big. We'll have it sized, but for now, I'll make it work, Olivia promised. Bakers are resourceful. The West Estate sprawled across 5 lakefront acres, its stone and timber architecture blending into the pine forest. A silver-haired woman waited on the wide porch as their car approached. Showtime, Sebastian murmured, squeezing Olivia's hand before stepping out. She was surprised by how natural the gesture felt. Eleanor West embraced her grandson with dignified affection. Up close, Olivia recognized the same intensity in her blue eyes that Sebastian possessed. So this is the young woman who has finally captured your heart, Eleanor said. Turning to Olivia, Olivia stepped forward with genuine warmth. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. West. Sebastian speaks of you with such admiration. Call me Eleanor, dear. Any woman who can make my grandson miss 3 board meetings must be special indeed. Sebastian actually blushed. Grandmother, I told you those were essential recipe testing sessions for her new cookbook. Recipe testing? Eleanor's eyes twinkled. Is that what they call it these days? Inside, the estate was elegant without being ostentatious. Their rooms, separate but adjoining, had been prepared on the 2nd floor. Olivia gasped at the lake view from her window. Your grandmother is wonderful, she told Sebastian when they had a moment alone. I feel terrible deceiving her. Remember why we're doing this, he replied, loosening his collar. It's just 1 week. Dinner that evening brought introductions to Thomas, a more severe version of what Sebastian's father might have been, and his wife Camilla, who appraised Olivia's simple dress with thinly veiled disdain. Their son Philip, however, greeted Olivia with genuine interest. So you own a bakery? Philip asked over roasted duck and vegetables that made Olivia's restaurateur heart sing. How refreshing to meet someone who creates something tangible, Philip. Recently left investment banking to become a photographer, Sebastian explained. Black sheep of the family, Philip grinned. Until Sebastian here shocked everyone by falling for a commoner. No offense. None taken, Olivia laughed. Tell us how you met, Eleanor requested. Watching them closely, Sebastian's hand found Olivia's under the table. I was meeting investors near her bakery. I stopped in for coffee, but I stayed for the pistachio rosewater cake. Sebastian has a surprising sweet tooth, Olivia added, recalling details from their preparation. He came back every day that week. I've never seen you eat dessert, Thomas remarked suspiciously. That's because Olivia's creations aren't merely desserts, Sebastian said, his voice softening as he looked at her. They're experiences, the way she balances flavors, the textures she creates. There's passion in everything she makes. Olivia stared at him, momentarily speechless. His description held genuine appreciation that couldn't be faked. Later that night, Olivia found Sebastian on the terrace overlooking the moonlit lake. You were impressive tonight, he said. Grandmother is already charmed. You weren't so bad yourself, she replied. That bit about my baking, you actually sounded like you meant it. Sebastian turned, his face half in shadow. I did. I've had your pastries. Natalie brings them to the office sometimes. He hesitated. Your hazelnut chocolate tart reminded me of something my mother used to make before everything changed. For a brief moment, Olivia glimpsed something beneath his polished surface, a loneliness that mirrored her own. But before she could respond, he straightened and the mask returned. We should get some rest. Tomorrow, grandmother has planned a full day of family activities. He paused at the door. Olivia, thank you for today. As she watched him walk away, Olivia realized the challenging part wouldn't be pretending to fall for Sebastian West. It would be remembering not to fall for real. Unexpected currents. By the third day at the estate, Olivia had settled into a rhythm of half-truths and genuine moments that blurred together like watercolors. She'd learned to navigate Eleanor's probing questions, Thomas's skepticism, and Camilla's thinly veiled condescension. She'd also discovered unexpected allies in the estate's chef, who delighted in discussing baking techniques, and in Philip, whose outsider status in the family mirrored her own. Most surprisingly, she'd begun to know the real Sebastian, glimpses revealed in unguarded moments when he thought no one was watching. That morning, she found him in the estate's extensive gardens before breakfast, kneeling beside a patch of vibrant zinnias. These were my sister's favorites, he said without turning, somehow knowing it was Olivia approaching. Evelyn, she died when I was 16, leukemia. I'm so sorry, Olivia said softly, kneeling beside him. I didn't know you had a sister. Few people do. We keep her memory private. Sebastian's fingers gently touched a bright orange bloom. She was the heart of the family. After she died, my parents' marriage fell apart. Father buried himself in work, mother fled to Europe, and He paused. I focused on becoming what the company needed. And what did you need? Olivia asked. Sebastian looked at her with surprise, as if the question had never occurred to him. Before he could answer, the breakfast bell rang from the house. We should go in, he said, standing and offering his hand. Throughout the day's sailing excursion on the lake, Olivia caught Sebastian watching her with an expression she couldn't decipher. When she nearly fell overboard trying to adjust a sail, his arms were instantly around her, holding her with unexpected strength. I've got you, he murmured against her hair, his heart pounding against hers. He held on longer than necessary. That evening, Eleanor invited Olivia to her private sitting room while Sebastian met with Thomas about business matters. He's different with you, the older woman said, pouring tea from a silver service. More himself. Olivia's hands trembled slightly. I'm not sure what you mean. Sebastian has always been controlled, even as a child. After Evelyn died and his parents essentially abandoned him, he built walls. I've watched him excel professionally while remaining untouchable. Eleanor studied Olivia over her teacup. Until you. We haven't known each other that long, Olivia hedged. Time is irrelevant in matters of the heart. Tell me, do you love my grandson, Olivia? Not his name or his position, but the man himself? In that moment, thinking of Sebastian's gentle hands among the flowers, his unexpected humor, the passion beneath his reserve, Olivia realized the dangerous truth. Yes, she whispered, surprising herself with her honesty. I believe I do, Eleanor nodded, satisfied. That's all I needed to know. Later that night, a knock came at the adjoining door between their rooms. Sebastian entered, tension radiating from his shoulders. Thomas is questioning everything, our relationship timeline, your background, even the engagement announcement timing. He's hired someone to investigate you. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm sorry. I didn't think he'd go this far. What do we do? Olivia asked, suddenly fearful. We need to be more convincing. Sebastian paced the room. Thomas and Camilla need to see us as... He stopped, turning to her with determination. Can I kiss you? Olivia's breath caught. What? Tomorrow at the charity gala. A public moment. Nothing excessive, just enough to silence doubts. Oh, she said, trying to hide her disappointment. For show. Sebastian stepped closer. We should practice, so it looks natural. The air between them charged with electricity as he slowly raised his hand to her cheek. His touch was gentle, almost reverent, as he tilted her face upward. Is this okay? He asked, his voice rough. Olivia could only nod, her heart hammering against her ribs as Sebastian lowered his lips to hers. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, before deepening with unexpected hunger. His arms encircled her waist, drawing her closer until she could feel every heartbeat. When they finally broke apart, both breathing unsteadily, Sebastian rested his forehead against hers. That should be... He cleared his throat. Convincing enough. Before Olivia could respond, Sebastian's phone rang, his ringtone for business emergencies. The spell broke as he answered it, his corporate mask sliding back into place. "I have to take this," he said, moving toward the door. He paused, looking back at her with conflicted eyes. "Olivia, this is still just an arrangement." "We can't forget that." But as the door closed behind him, Olivia touched her lips, still warm from his kiss, and wondered if either of them believed that anymore. The Unraveling. The West family's annual charity gala transformed the estate into an elegant wonderland of twinkling lights and champagne fountains. Olivia stood before the mirror in a midnight blue gown Sebastian had arranged for her. Simple, yet exquisite, with a subtle shimmer that caught the light as she moved. A soft knock preceded Eleanor's entrance. The older woman carried a velvet jewelry case. "Every West bride has worn these for generations," she said, revealing a stunning set of sapphire and diamond earrings. "They match your eyes." Guilt twisted in Olivia's stomach as Eleanor fastened them to her ears. "I can't accept these. Nonsense. They're family heirlooms meant to be worn." Eleanor stepped back to admire the effect. "Perfect. Now shall we discuss what's troubling you?" Olivia froze. "What do you mean?" "Dear girl, I've lived long enough to recognize when someone is carrying a burden." "Is it Sebastian? Has he done something?" "No," Olivia said quickly. "Sebastian is wonderful. It's just..." She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Everything is happening so fast. Sometimes I wonder if we're making the right decision." Eleanor took her hands. "Marriage isn't about perfect certainty. It's about choosing someone and recommitting to that choice every day." Her eyes grew distant. "My Harold and I had 52 years together. Not all of them easy, but all of them worth it." Downstairs, Sebastian waited at the foot of the grand staircase, his tuxedo accentuating his tall frame. His expression when he saw Olivia made her heart stutter. Wonder, admiration, and something deeper that vanished when he noticed his grandmother's earrings. "You look beautiful," he said formally, offering his arm. The ballroom filled with West Hospitality Group investors, business associates, and the region's elite. Olivia navigated introductions with growing confidence, surprising herself with how easily she played the role of Sebastian's devoted fiancée. It was effortless to laugh at his subtle jokes, to rest her hand on his arm, to look at him with affection, because none of it felt like pretending anymore. During dinner, Sebastian's hand found hers beneath the table whenever Thomas made pointed remarks about the suddenness of their engagement. His touch anchored her, a silent reassurance in their shared performance. "You're a natural," Sebastian whispered during the first dance, leading her effortlessly across the floor. "Even I almost believe we're in love." Something in his tone made Olivia search his face. "And we're not?" Before he could answer, a commotion at the ballroom entrance drew their attention. A striking woman with copper hair and model-perfect features strode toward them, determination in every step. "Vanessa," Sebastian breathed, his body tensing. "What is she doing here?" "Sebastian, darling," the woman's voice carried across the floor as she approached. "Imagine my surprise when I returned from Paris to discover you've replaced me after just 3 months." Whispers rippled through the crowd. Sebastian's arm tightened around Olivia's waist. "Vanessa, this isn't the place," he said in a low voice. "When is the place?" she demanded. "When you're married to your baker?" Her gaze raked over Olivia dismissively. "We both know this is some kind of game, Sebastian." "You were planning our future in February." Thomas appeared at Sebastian's elbow, satisfaction evident in his expression. "Is this true, nephew? Your engagement timeline seems increasingly flexible." Olivia felt the room spinning as doubt crept in. February was only 4 months ago, yet their fabricated relationship supposedly began 8 months ago. Sebastian's jaw tightened as he stared at his ex-girlfriend. "Excuse me?" Olivia murmured, pulling away. She needed air, needed to think. Outside on the terrace, the cool evening breeze brought no clarity. Had everything been a lie? Not just their arrangement, but the connection she thought they were building. Olivia. Sebastian's voice came from behind her. I can explain, can you? She turned, fighting back tears. Was Vanessa the reason for this charade? Another relationship gone wrong, so you needed a replacement? No, he said firmly. Vanessa and I ended months ago. She's exaggerating our relationship to cause problems. Thomas probably invited her. But you were involved with her when our relationship supposedly began. Sebastian ran a hand through his hair in frustration. The timeline was fabricated, yes, but everything else was business, Olivia finished. Just like you said from the beginning. She twisted the engagement ring off her finger and held it out. I think we've played this game long enough. This isn't a game to me. Not anymore. Sebastian stepped closer, his voice urgent. Yes, it started as an arrangement, but something changed. You changed me. Before Olivia could respond, Philip burst onto the terrace. Sebastian, you need to come quickly. Grandmother's collapsed. The next hours passed in a blur of ambulances and hospital corridors. Eleanor had suffered a mild stroke, thankfully caught early enough to prevent serious damage. As family members gathered in the waiting room, Thomas wasted no time exploiting the situation. Perhaps the excitement of this unexpected engagement was too much, he suggested to the family lawyer, who had arrived at his request. Given the circumstances, we should revisit the succession plan immediately. Sebastian, exhausted and worried, looked up from where he sat near Olivia. This isn't the time, Thomas. On the contrary, his uncle pressed. Your grandmother's condition proves the need for stable leadership. Your impulsive personal decisions raise serious questions about your judgment. As Thomas continued his campaign to the gathered board members, Olivia watched Sebastian's face. This was his family legacy at stake, his charitable foundation, his employees' livelihoods, everything he'd worked for. Making her decision, Olivia stood and addressed the room. Sebastian and I have decided to postpone our engagement in light of Eleanor's health. Sebastian's head snapped up, shock evident in his eyes. We feel it's best to focus on Eleanor's recovery rather than wedding plans, Olivia continued smoothly. Sebastian's priority has always been his family's well-being. Later, when they had a moment alone in the hospital corridor, Sebastian confronted her. Why did you do that? To give you an out, Olivia said simply. Thomas was using our relationship against you. This way, you can reconcile with Vanessa if that's what the board expects. Or find someone more suitable. I don't want Vanessa or anyone more suitable, Sebastian interrupted, frustration evident in his voice. The doctor's arrival cut him off. Eleanor was awake and asking for Sebastian. As he followed the doctor, he looked back at Olivia with unspoken words in his eyes. But the moment passed, and Olivia was left wondering what he had been about to say, and whether it would have changed everything. Rewritten rules. 3 weeks later, Olivia stood in her bakery's kitchen at dawn, losing herself in the rhythm of kneading dough. Sweet Provisions had reopened after renovations funded by Sebastian's payment. New ovens, expanded seating, a coffee bar by the window. The first installment had arrived as promised. The second followed after she'd left the hospital that night, along with a note that simply read, "Thank you." As she hadn't seen or heard from him since, Eleanor's recovery progressed well, according to news reports that also mentioned Sebastian's amicable parting from his fiancée due to family health concerns. The business pages lauded his leadership during the crisis, with no mention of inheritance complications. Whatever had happened with the will, Sebastian had apparently secured his position. The bell above the door jingled. "We're not open yet," Olivia called without looking up from her dough. "I know," Philip replied, setting his camera bag on a nearby table. "But I brought breakfast." He held up a bag from her favorite coffee shop. Since returning to the city, Philip had become an unexpected friend, stopping by the bakery to photograph her creations for his portfolio and offering insider updates on the West family. "How's your grandmother?" Olivia asked, wiping flour from her hands. "Bossing everyone around from her recovery suite." Philip grinned. The doctors say she's defying all expectations. And Sebastian? Philip's expression grew serious. Working himself to death. Restructuring the foundation, launching a new hotel concept, barely sleeping. He paused. He misses you, Olivia. Though he'd never admit it. It was an arrangement, she said, the words feeling hollow. Nothing more. Really? Because grandmother told me something interesting before I left Tahoe. Philip sipped his coffee. She said she knew all along. Olivia froze. Knew what? About the fake engagement. Apparently, Sebastian's assistant accidentally forwarded an email discussing the arrangements for his temporary fiancée. She knew? The whole time? Olivia sank onto a stool. Why didn't she expose us? Because she saw something real developing between you two. Something neither of you was willing to admit. Philip shrugged. Grandmother's always been an excellent judge of character. She told Sebastian yesterday that she's changing the will regardless, no marriage requirement. That's good news, Olivia managed, ignoring the ache in her chest. Is it? Because he looks as miserable as you do. Philip stood to leave. The family's hosting a reopening gala for the renovated flagship hotel tomorrow night. You should come. I wasn't invited. Philip placed an envelope on the counter. Now you are. After he left, Olivia returned to her baking, trying to focus on the tactile pleasure of creating something from simple ingredients. But her thoughts kept drifting to Sebastian, his rare smile, his gentle hands in the garden, the vulnerability in his eyes when he spoke of his sister. The next evening, she stood before the mirror in her apartment, wearing a simple emerald dress that matched the eyes Sebastian had once said reminded him of spring. She picked up the invitation, then set it down again. What was she doing? The arrangement was over. Sebastian had what he wanted. Going to the gala would only reopen wounds barely beginning to heal. Her phone rang. Natalie, please tell me you're going tonight, her friend said without preamble. I can't, Olivia replied. It would be awkward for everyone. Sebastian asked me 3 times today if I thought you'd come. Olivia's heart skipped. He did? He's miserable, Liv. And based on the number of hazelnut chocolate tarts you've stress-baked this week, so are you. An hour later, Olivia walked into the gleaming lobby of the West Grand, the flagship hotel that had launched the family empire. The ballroom sparkled with crystal and candlelight as elegantly dressed guests mingled beneath a ceiling painted with stars. She spotted Sebastian immediately, tall and commanding in his tuxedo, engaged in conversation with investors. Something in her expression must have caught his attention, because he suddenly looked up, his eyes finding hers across the crowded room. For a breathless moment, neither moved. Then Sebastian excused himself and made his way toward her, the crowd seeming to part between them. You came, he said, stopping before her. Philip invited me. I hope that's all right. More than all right. His eyes never left hers. There's something I need to show you. Sebastian led her through the hotel to a previously empty storefront space adjacent to the lobby. The windows were papered over, but a sign read, Coming soon, Sweet Provisions at the West. Olivia turned to him in confusion. What is this? Instead of answering, Sebastian unlocked the door and guided her inside. The space had been transformed into a beautiful boutique bakery, gleaming display cases, a demonstration kitchen, cafe tables by windows overlooking the garden. I don't understand, she whispered. The flagship hotel has never had a proper bakery, Sebastian explained. Our guests deserve better than generic pastries from a commissary. He hesitated. The space is yours if you want it, a partnership, not charity. Your recipes, your vision, with the West infrastructure behind you. Olivia circled the kitchen, running her fingers along marble countertops. Why would you do this? Because I've spent 3 weeks trying to forget you and failing miserably. Sebastian's composure cracked, revealing the raw emotion beneath. Because every morning I walk past bakeries hoping to see you inside. Because I've never met anyone who sees me as just Sebastian, not the West heir or the CEO. He moved closer, his eyes earnest. The arrangement ended, but my feelings didn't. They only grew stronger. Sebastian, Olivia began, her voice unsteady. I understand if you don't feel the same. he said quickly. "The bakery offer stands regardless. No strings attached." "That's not it," she replied, finally meeting his gaze. "I'm afraid of building something real with someone who's only experienced life on his terms." "Whose world is so different from mine?" "You think I haven't questioned that?" Sebastian reached for her hands. "But then I remember how empty the estate felt after you left. How the business successes meant nothing without someone who cared about the person behind them." His voice dropped to a whisper. "How the only time I've ever felt truly myself was with you." Outside, rain began to fall, drumming against the windows in a rhythm that matched Olivia's heartbeat. "No more arrangements," she said softly. "No more pretending." "No more pretending," Sebastian agreed, drawing her closer. "Just us figuring it out together. Real feelings, real challenges, real life." His forehead rested against hers. "Will you give us that chance?" Olivia's answer was to rise on her toes and press her lips to his, a kiss with no audience, no agenda, nothing but the truth of what had grown between two people who'd found each other when neither was looking. Later, they danced beneath the painted stars, no longer strangers playing roles but partners writing their own story, one that began with an arrangement but would continue with something far more precious, a love that was real, unscripted, and entirely their own.